All right, we are live, and the New York Mets are only mostly dead. Welcome to the All-Star break, fellas. 7 games behind the wild card, 6 games under 500, just as we thought we would be before the season started at the quote-unquote halfway point. How's everybody feeling today? It would be feeling a little bit different if we could have just won one of those last 2 games in San Diego.
That's all we needed. That's all we needed. Just one.
And we also, if we had recorded this on, say, Friday night or Saturday morning, we would be in a completely different setup as a state of mind too, because boys, that 6-game winning streak was what it was all about. That's that fucking rush of dopamine we've been looking for all fucking season, guys.
Yeah, good. That's why we do it. That's why we stick around. That's why you don't console. That's why you torture yourself, because the high and like it changes your whole life and everything's happy and everybody's good. It just hasn't happened very often.
It's fucking disgusting how much better I felt during that ride. Like I was like, it was something I haven't felt in so long, and I just felt so much better, and I'm kind of ashamed about it. I gotta send it to my boy Meek though, because Meek was tweeting from a dark place on Sunday, and I just got to get a fucking sanity check on him. Like it was, the anger was coming through the tweets, you know, the 600 I was allowed to get from Sir Elon. Man, Phil, there was some poison being dripped into my eyeballs by you. And I kind of loved it. It makes you feel good when you're just, the way they go out like that. I got to get a sanity check on Phil, which, I mean, you're alive, so that's the first bar we cleared. But how are you doing mentally right now, pal?
You know, during the winning streak, I'd wake up and I'd look forward to a game each day. And now when they lose, it's like I wake up and now I just look forward to the day to end. Like I wake up, my highlight of my day is doing the grid at like 12 p.m. and then just falling asleep an hour later. So I'm good right now. I'm gonna hate watching the home run derby later. I'm gonna hate watching the All-Star game. I'll enjoy the 2 days on Wednesday, Thursday when there's no baseball. But yeah, it sucks.
Another motherfucking day. That's what Phil's going to be. That's how he's going to be talking when it's all said and done. Phil the Tank is being born for us.
I think I said this before, but when we started the podcast and when Phil started, I was like, he'll be like the level-headed stats guy. He's like a baseball mind. I never thought that I'd be looking at Ghosts of Christmas Past.
I mean,
I'm like, I remember like going through this phase where you basically like the first, I don't know, however many years of your life as a Mets fan is like you're in a new relationship and you're happy and it's fun and you like baseball. And then you settle into like, you know, the dog days of the relationship where you start to hate each other and then it becomes toxic and abusive. And that's where Phil is coming into his own right now.
I mean, this is a unique team. No, we've had bad teams before, but we haven't had a team that spent this much money with this high expectations with this kind of result. Like we've had this result before. It's not just expectation.
We have had the worst team money can buy. We haven't had a team.
I wasn't alive for that. I was like 5 years before I was born. So.
But in general, the Mets have had high payrolls and superstars that bust. This is like, you know, they're definitely under far you could bust. But then you also turn around and it's like Pete would be on pace to hit fucking 60 home runs if he didn't get hurt. Lindor is like the best shortstop in the league. Alvarez is like the best rookie of the year. Like there's all these flashes of like, oh, it's right there. So this is by far the biggest tease first half I've ever had in my life, where it's just dangling in front of you. We're that old Geico commercial where the guy just keeps lifting the dollar away. It's just right there, but not. And that is totally new because I don't think it's been this bad ever.
Kyle, let me get the old man Gelling's thoughts right now. I feel like when Kyle's in a mood, he's really good, but I think you've kind of leveled out right now. How are you feeling after?
I was getting shit from everybody for posting positive memes on the Mets Instagram account, and I'm like, what do you want from me? I need some joy in my life. It can't all be fucking misery. I get all the
Oppenheimer meme now. We were born.
I'm like, go fuck off with your first place team. Like, I'm in 4th place. I'm just trying to enjoy my 4th of July weekend off, and I can't even do that. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
There is one thing, and one thing only, you're allowed to be positive about, and it's Francisco Alvarez.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
I was going to say Francisco Lindor, too.
Well, yeah.
Francisco's.
But we've already done, you know, the back and forth with Lindor. He's bad. He's good. We won. You know, we came out on top of that. He's got, like, the second highest WAR in baseball as a shortstop. He's good. He'll be here forever. He's a part of it, you know, up or down, whatever. Alvarez is the real fucking deal. And not only that, it appears that he's going to be clutch the pitchers saying that he calls a good game and he's a professional behind the plate. Like, we might have the makings of an all-time great at a position that is super rare. And no matter what happens this season, that is something to get pumped about. So I could sit here and just stroke him for an hour and we don't talk about anything else. But if we're talking about the rest of the team, I don't want to hear the sunshine and rainbows right now. No,
we will never do. Like, we are the podcast of the fans, right? Like, and that's how you keep it real. We'll be the good with the good, the bad with the bad. Kyle, like you said, the positive Instagrams, but then also a couple negatives get in there. Even if it's not
the
from
dark
your
creativity is so much, it far outweighs. I'm like, how can I think of another way when I want to kill myself? And I'm like, I'm going to connect it to that movie. But like Alvarez, though, even like not even just the play aside, you're seeing like, they always say like watching the game through like a kid's eyes, like. He is just excited to be there day in and day out, and all the energy and all the shit. Yes, that is what makes it entertaining.
He's like it's like watching a gorilla play baseball. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna have a take. I'd rather watch Francisco Alvarez in the home run derby tonight over Pete Alonso because that'd be way more fun to me.
Absolutely, 100%. Actually, I'd rather watch nobody in the home run derby.
Oh yeah, sure.
Somebody, 100% agree. Pete, the thing about the home run derby tonight, we're all over the place, but I'll just say this. If you're going to do it this time, you have to win it. You know what I mean? Like, he better fucking win tonight. Otherwise, it's like you had your back-to-back. You didn't get your three-peat. You don't really have to do this. But if he comes back and mashes and wins and you get $1 million and it's like, okay, whatever. But if you do it and you just kind of like, if it's like a first-round exit or something, it's going to be like, ugh, why'd you even
He's also the only player that leaves the home run derby and then hits more home runs. So I'm hoping that it gets him back into the groove.
Well, but you know what it also does is we know he's going to do something cringy and try hard, and he's going to try to be cool. He's going to like play Drake in the locker room or something, and everyone's going to be like, this is so lame. And I don't blame him because there is a level of like, he's just a goofball who tries to be cool when he should just be like, I'm a big boy, I'm a big goof, and I hit balls. That's it. But he tries to be cool, and I get it because, you can make a bag doing that, and you can have your online persona and all that. It's just, the internet can suss that out real quick.
Yeah, I sent the picture of him with his eyes closed, and that's how every Met fan felt when he announced that he was doing it. It's like, I'm going to have to – I don't even know if we can even defend it. It's just I'm going to have to just live through the memes of if he does something, everyone's going to be shitting on him for it. And, like, other than him hitting, like, 1,000 home runs and winning it, it's really a no-win kind of a proposition for him. Yep. The other side is if he does win it, he should just do it every year and just be the fucking final boss.
The guy.
Right? Yeah. And I kind of would like that. I almost would like him.
That's one of the Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 50 to 60 years.
Honestly, Pete Alonso saves the home run derby.
Maybe they should just make it like if he goes 3 out of 4, it's just like every year the final round is him. Everyone else competes, and then he only has to go once, and it's just Pete's. It's called the Alonso Home Run Derby.
Yep. It's like when, and I always use this reference, it is so dated, I don't give a fuck. When Daniel LaRusso got the bye all the way to the finals of the Tri-Valley Karate Championship in Karate Kid 3, probably because they didn't want to have to shoot all those things with Ralph Macchio again. Like, just put Pete in the finals. Everyone has a chance to fucking face King Kong, and whoever, makes it out of that preliminary first couple rounds faces the big dong in the final.
It is like good for baseball when he does it though, because it's like the dunk contest where LeBron never does it. And it's like, well, what the fuck, dude? Like, you're telling everyone that you're the best home run hitter, you're the best dunker. Like, you need to be in it to show it off every year. And I don't know. I just like, it's going to become that running joke of like, we don't win the World Series and he keeps winning that.
Yes.
Buddy texts me every year. He's like, well, at least we're going to win the home run derby this year.
But also, bro, when they made it $1 million prize, and he's still early in his career, it's like, I can go hang out with my buddies, hit dingers, and make $1 million tonight. I'm gonna go. So, like, maybe once he signs like a $200 million contract, maybe he'll stop doing it. But on a very literal level, it's kind of like, I don't give a fuck about what your feelings are. I'm gonna go make $1 million for having fun with my buddies in the home run derby.
I'll pull it up here right now since we're talking derby. This is the bracket for people on the YouTube right now.
How do they do these seeds?
By total home runs when they get selected, I think, because Robert leads league in home runs out of this group, I should say.
I was gonna say because why would he be the 1 seed? But okay, if he just uses total number.
And then Pete gets Julio Rodriguez, who's not only like one of the most beloved young players in baseball, but also at home for all this. And
isn't it also a little bit villain? Like if he is gonna do it,
I mean,
kind of like it.
He's the same guy who knocked out Trey Mancini when he came back from
That's
cancer.
what I was gonna say.
And that I would kind of like if Pete comes out in the black Mets jersey, which is like the villain side, right?
Yeah.
And or maybe he wears like an A-Rod jersey. Like go full WWE heel
Old school.
A-Rod Mariners jersey and be like, yeah, the guy who left. And I'm gonna take out this Rodriguez, and then I'm gonna take out. I mean, Betts and Vladdy are both fucking like beloved, so whoever you want to pick out of that one, and then whoever in the finals, like which I mean, there's always a guy who becomes like the fan favorite because he hit 1,000 in a round, and then Pete just extinguishes them. So that's kind of what we have to root for as fucking Mets fans right now, because we have nothing to really care about during the regular season. So All-Star, we have Pete and Senga are 2 All-Stars as of now.
Correct.
So I mean. I don't know how you guys feel about first of all, the home run derby. Chris Berman ruined it for me. The back. I got back way too much, and I'm basically the rule changes helped. I don't love it like I did as a kid, which I think is a good thing. And then the All-Star game, them tipping their caps was always my favorite part of it. That was it. And if you get like a bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded to win the game, that was it. Is there anyone like Kev? Do you still love the All-Star game? Are you still like fired up for it?
The home run derby, I think no matter how old I am, no matter how bitter and jaded I get, a round where someone hits like 20 home runs will always get me flowing. Like it really started with Josh Hamilton back in the day when like he had that infamous round, and anytime that happens, and when they really start crushing it, the clock makes a difference. Like when you get like a last second, like it's kind of combining like other sports with a clock, because you can have like a walk-off home run with the time. That I can get up for a little bit for that. The All-Star game in baseball, short of the Pro Bowl, I can't think of anything less enticing. Like
they got to bring back the regular jerseys. Like the All-Star game jerseys just ruin the feeling altogether.
I mean, I do agree with that, but I also don't think that would really change it for me.
True. It's
like one of those things where I hate it when it decided home field because it's silly, but I also hate that it doesn't mean anything. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't think there's probably a way to make it like they should. You know what they should do is some fucking Savannah Bananas shit. Like give them metal bats or like, you know what I mean? Like just make it a fucking clown of a game, but you get to see things that like you've never seen before, because the sport itself baseball is so slow and failure and kind of boring that what makes it matter is the dramatics and the theatrics and the tenseness and all that attention. When you don't have that because it's an exhibition, it's just like watching spring training. It's like, okay.
The second they implemented interleague play, it used to be like Raw versus SmackDown, where it was like you only saw those guys cross over once a year until the World Series, and like that's when it was like you had to see the best of the best going against the best of the best and which league was going to win. They literally play a team from the other league every single day now, so it's like there's no point. It's just an extra game.
Yeah, they interleague play came and was so long, slowly this thing where now you just play everybody. I don't think the younger generation will ever understand like what it was. I don't think they'll understand how much that like was a thing. You just played your league, and then when they first introduced it, and there was the Subway Series and the Crosstown Series and all those different rivalries, it was a big deal. And then it just slowly stopped being a big deal, and now it's nothing, to the point that I don't think they'll even understand that it once meant something to be in the AL and NL. Like at this point, we should just have like just one big country, and it's all like divided up by geography, and it doesn't.
That's where we're heading.
Yeah, people will forget the Astros used to be in the National League, and there was a 6-team division, a 4-team division. Right. It just doesn't make sense.
No sense. But it just was how it was. So we were used to it, and certain things mattered. And then now it's just like they made it make more sense, but it also took away like a little bit of the charm. And so there's just nothing to it anymore. So the All-Star games was like, you'll have your moments. I remember Jacob deGrom. I remember Joe Buck, like, hi, I'm Jacob deGrom, and I'm going to dominate for years, or whatever he said. You remember Pedro in 99. There's some moments, but other than that, it's like,
Not having Joe Buck call the games also like takes away the juice too now. Like,
Yep.
And they lose Ohtani right before too. He gets hurt or he cracked his nail or whatever. So that sucks. Marty blogged it today. Do they still have the commissioner thing where they can throw the exemption in where they threw Pujols in or whatever?
They can do that, but they chose not to. Like Miguel Cabrera could have been an all-star, but he just
I'm good
No.
with like the 45-year-old guys playing. How about let's throw Ellie De La Cruz in there? Because I'll fucking watch Ellie De La Cruz face whoever the best pitcher, whoever started.
Honestly, like the fact that Alvarez, De La Cruz, like those guys, there needs to be like first of all, they should just be like voted in some other way, or there needs to be some rookie exemption where it's like we know that a lot of fans don't know these names yet and they're not going to vote for them. But if you know the game, if you know ball, you know that these are the players you want to see, you know?
The
And
entire
Futures
fan
game,
vote is a sham anyway.
tell me the Futures game, you know?
Yeah.
The Futures game is on Peacock on a Saturday when every team is playing. Like,
To be honest, there's actually a part of me.
Incredible.
No, I'll flat out say it. I would probably rather watch the Futures game. I don't want to watch either of them. But if you put two TVs on and one had the Pro All-Star game and the Futures, I would take the Futures just to watch guys like Ellie, because they also like Ellie De La Cruz will not stop running the bases. You know what I mean? Like he'll just keep rounding the bases. He'll try to steal home. He'll just have a fucking ball with it. I'd rather watch those guys than some dudes who are just mailing it in. So the whole thing I think needs to be overhauled. I just don't even know what the answer would be.
Yeah, oh man, Rob Manfred and just having like, and for us too. Like, let's be honest, we're basically watching the Braves play. Like they have like they're fielding a team right now for this and they fucking earned it. And it is a sham, like the way some of the voting goes. But like, I don't know how many of their guys, 8 guys, how many of them really didn't deserve to go to the All-Star game,
bro. In my career as a blogger, like my main job for so long was to just spin zone and find angles and arguments for my shitty teams against the fucking unbelievable teams we got to go up against. It's just crazy that if you're a Mets, Jets, Knicks fan, you're like you had to deal with the Patriots, you got to deal with the Braves, you got to deal with like Jordan in Chicago back in the day. All-time great teams are always on the other side of the coin, and it was like as a Barstool blogger, the job was to be like, yeah, but Brady's like, you know. He's like Peyton Manning's actually better than him, and you know, Deflategate. You find these little things to latch onto, and then eventually these teams just break your spirit, and you have no choice but to be like, yeah, I don't know, you're just way better. And the Braves, I mean, there's just nothing to say. There's just nothing to say. Like even for a while, we always had like, yeah, but you don't win in the postseason. But then they got their ring. They have 8 All-Stars. They're top 5 in home runs and top 5 in K percentage, like Phil said. Like,
yeah, they're the new Astros. They hit home runs, they don't strike out, which doesn't make sense.
They're perfect. Like they're perfect. Like if I wanted to script a team, it would be that. And so there's nothing you can say. But part of me is like there's a sense of relief that comes along with like, all right, like fuck it, we're not catching them. The division's gone. Nobody's probably gonna stop the Braves. But all we got to do is beat some of these other like kind of mid teams in the NL and get in. I find that to be much more relaxing in a way. It's not as fun as last year was, but last year also was not fun in the sense of like every game felt like the playoffs. Every loss felt like the end of the world. And this is like, there's room for error because, you got to just be, floating around 500 at the end of the day, I think. So there's a jump and a huge gap. Way I'm almost like, okay, well, we're not even worried about the top now.
Yeah, no, that's it. You could write like 7 books about last year and everything that sucked about it, even though it was a 101 win season, a lot of fun, fan bases battling, scoreboard watching from like July on, all that kind of stuff. There is something that kind of just freeing about just being like, all right, we're going for, I mean, that was kind of what it was in the 90s, Kev, right? It's like that team in Atlanta, we're not going to catch. But again, this is the one thing that I'll say as like a Mets fan, if I don't want to see the Braves win the World Series, it'll be like, this is the dumbest sport. Just takes one series. We've seen it happen. They happened to them last year, right? They didn't even make it to the NLCS. And, but if they are the new Houston, they'll probably be in the World Series like every fucking year, like the Astros were for a while. So we will retire that take.
Alex Anthopoulos is his name, right? I mean, like he's just
the Greek asshole.
I really hope that we go get Stearns. I don't even know enough about Stearns in Milwaukee, but it sounds like he is obsessed with him, and there's a reason why they've been going after him for so long. And I hope that we have our own little Wonder Boy version. But right now, it's pretty much impossible to make the argument over anybody but him. He's robbing these guys blind, and he has an entire team of all-stars. What more could you want from a GM? It's crazy.
Yep. So that's what you guys got to do. Just fucking put the fucking Braves in the rear view. Worry about like the 17 teams ahead of us in the wild card, and hopefully by some hot baseball, some cold baseball by other teams, and just weird shit, we make it. Get yourself a Coors Light, pop it open. Blue Mountains for the soul. We need this during baseball season. We need it even more this season than last season. I was saying last season how we were in Blue Mountain Central. We need the Blue Mountains now more than ever. It's the beer that's made to chill, and God knows we can use it because there's not one pitcher where he take them out. I'm like, oh, we're good tonight. Like Max, hell no. Verlander, no. Senga, our all-star, not even that, because he could just, throw 100 pitches through 4 innings, and then we're into the bullpen mess all over again. But Coors Light is always there for you. It's a beer that made to chill, and it pairs well with a retired state of mind, which is basically what everyone in Kunsalina is in right now. As we've said, this summer, chill like you're retired with Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. As they say, perfect for all your summer plans or lack thereof. No judgment here. Same for lack of fall plans, because I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm getting pretty dark with it. But if you have summer plans, this Saturday, July 15th, Barstool the Ballpark, sold out. Mets Dodgers 7:15. We are going to have a tailgate. We finally got a Barstool the Ballpark. Is this the first Barstool the Ballpark tailgate for a baseball one, Kev?
Yes, I think so.
You do. I went at the Jets game once. I remember. We did Frankie Borelli picture where he was.
I think we once had a Subway Series tailgate. I don't know, but we have not done many, if any at all.
So we're gonna have ourselves at the south. It's the Southfield parking lot. It's right by the 7 train. It's not like in the main City Field parking lot, but it's kind of across Roosevelt Ave, I believe, right there. You go there. We're going to have a big Coors Light tent. We're going to have a bunch of Coors Light stuff, Coors Light giveaways, all that kind of stuff. We'll be drinking our Coors Lights. So stop on over. If you're going to Barstool the Ballpark, not going to Barstool the Ballpark, I'll get some snacks for everybody, drinking our beers, having a good time, listening to music, getting ready for the Mets game, and 3 hours of drinking in the stadium. So check it out now. Barstool at the Ballpark. Thanks to our friends at Coors Light. And if we could get this done, we could get some more tailgates going, because we have literally one bar in the 2-mile radius around the stadium to hang out in. This way we just hang outside, hopefully just talk ourselves into a second half run here. And I just love always getting everyone together there. So Barstool the Ballpark. What do we say, Kyle? 4:15. We'll be there. Underneath, you'll see the Coors Light tent and all that stuff. And we'll be tweeting it out on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads, if Threads even exists by Saturday. I don't know what the hell's going to happen here. Moving along. Let's talk about – all right, before we go that, actually. Phil, tell me how I'm supposed to feel about this draft, because I don't know anything about the goddamn MLB draft.
Well, they drafted a Braves fan with their first pick, so –
God damn it. God fucking damn it.
Some kid in high school in Georgia that even asked him, he's like, yeah, I'm a grown up a Braves fan, but now I'm Met, so I don't care. And then their second pick is a pitcher they drafted last year who didn't sign with them, and now he's pretty good. He throws 100, so.
I honestly, I think we should draft all pitchers. We got fucking just. It's like I used to say with the Jets with the quarterback. Just draft a quarterback every single pick, every single year. 6 rounds every year until you get one. Just draft pitchers. Just draft them. Just 1,000 arms to come through, because we got nothing for the
And pitching development now is, okay, we're going to take this guy who throws 100 miles an hour. We're going to pitch him till his arm falls off, and we're going to hope he throws 100 miles an hour after Tommy John. So that's just the way pitching is now.
That's why I still always think – I think that Uncle Stevie should consider my idea. I came up with it a few years ago. Preemptive Tommy John. Everybody who gets drafted as a pitcher, you just open them up right away, and you just do whatever to that ligament that they would have done if you tore it, and then you're safe, at least for a little while until it happens again, like Jacob deGrom. But the preemptive Tommy John could change the game. Think about it, Stevie.
I don't hate it one bit. I also don't hate drafting Braves fans, because whenever the Braves draft a guy from Georgia, I'm like, oh, that guy's going to be like an 8-time All-Star. Like, they were doing it for years, I feel. It's always a fucking
It's also when you take a high school guy, they're like so many years away, so it's whatever.
Yeah, and Brandon Sproat, I remember calling him the Sproat Goat last year. I think that was during the Nancy Reagan time. So I was like, oh, Sproat Goat. So I'm happy we got him back. Throws 100. He's a college pitcher, right? He went to Florida. So
he's a senior.
Yeah, senior.
So he
Let me tell you too, if you get drafted high in the draft as a senior, it's a shit show. I think he's probably going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars less than if he had gone as a junior.
Well, just
if you are a senior in college, get out of my face. I don't want you on my team one bit. You're practically retired. You're a bum. If you're not 18, I don't want you. Get out.
I'm going to spin zone this. Brandon, pack your bags and come to fucking New York. You're going to help fix this fucking situation we're in right now. Like, every arm counts. He throws 100. Does he know where it's going? I don't know, but guess what? You're facing
other guys know where it's going.
Yeah, exactly. Our guys don't know where it's going, but they're throwing 92. Give me the guy who throws 100 doesn't know where it's going, right? They might just swing at it just out of so bravo to Epler and the boys. It sounds like this Colin Houck guy, he was like, this was one of the things he would have been like almost like a top 10 guy, but it was like a money issue.
He actually has QB offers to play for like Arkansas and like Vanderbilt. Like he could have been an SEC quarterback. You know what? Sounds like a pretty good athlete to me.
Decision making is questionable. I will say that he would have had a lot more fun being the quarterback of an SEC. Maybe not those SEC teams though. So actually, no, decent decision making, and it sounds like Uncle Stevie was willing to. He's going to pay up, go over slot here, which again, under slot, all that kind of bullshit. I hate talking about it, but it sounds like we got a guy who I think was in a lot of people's like top 10, top 12. So I guess good. I'm sure AJ and Keegan will be a fan of his when he's actually playing here.
I see the same thing every year. I do not give a single fuck about the draft.
The only good thing about the draft is like when there's a random funny story. I saw the Orioles guy called up the Orioles before they could call him. Like that's kind of funny. I like that kind of confidence in a guy. So first half awards here. We're going to do the first half awards presented by I Want to Fucking Jump Off a Bridge. The MVP for the 2023 season for the Mets in the first half. Kevin Clancy, who do you have as your MVP?
I mean, far and away, it's Francisco Alvarez. Not even, well, almost, yes, on the field. Maybe I give it to like Lindor or Pete before he got injured, where like the only guys playing better than him. But as a fan, as a person who just needed something to latch onto, something good, a light at the end of the tunnel, positive in a sea of negatives. He's been it. Without him, I don't know what I would even wake up for in the morning. He's that important to me. The two Franciscos are about the only thing going good in my life. If he wasn't hitting a home run every other fucking game, I think I would be even more depressed. So both, from an on the field and off the field. I mean, could you imagine? Just imagine if it was still James McCann or Narvaez or even our boy Nito. I mean, it would be bleak. So not even close in my mind. I
like that. And I think I said this take offline. I don't think I said on the podcast. I'm going to say it now. This is my like sports talk radio hot take. I'm hoping we go viral since no one listens to sports radio anymore. If the New York Mets had called up Francisco Lindor, if the New York Mets had called up Francisco Alvarez back in July when we wanted him last year, I don't know when he was healthy or hurt, but if they had called him up, he would have done enough to get that extra 2 wins to get past the Braves. And because of that, you don't know what happens in the postseason. Everything is better. Mets win the World Series this year. They're much better. The Mets won the World Series last year. They win the World Series this year, all because Francisco Alvarez was ready. And goddamn Billy Epler should be fired for not taking him up last year. Goddamn these Mets. Like, honestly, at this point, you can't even say I'm wrong.
There's a little part of me that is genuinely like watching how much he just needed games under his belt and then he figured it out. I don't think like this time last year versus this time this year he grew or matured. I think he just needed to see major league pitching, get used to a major league clubhouse, major league, behind the plate, all that shit. Mm-hmm. And part of me thinks if he saw, I don't know, 50, 60, whatever games before September, maybe he could have hit a couple bombs and maybe he could have been this guy. It's not the most outrageous take.
And he had familiarity with the staff. He was catching Max and DeGrom's rehab starts every time.
Yep. He already knew the boys.
Yep. So that's my and it is one of those things I can believe, but I can't even think of it because then I'll just get like furious all over again. Kyle, do you have anyone other than our fucking Lord and Savior, Francisco Alvarez?
Yep. And the man's name is Tommy Pham.
The Pham.
The guy who shouldn't even be on the field. I thought for sure you were picking him. He went from being 4th outfielder. He's got the highest average, the highest OPS. Now he's pulled his groin, so we got to wait to see what happens with that. But, that dude is a godsend. There's always that one player that you're never expecting. And like the fact that Marte and Cannon, I can name a million other guys, suck this season. Thank God they got Tommy Pham, who is not a sham.
I'm mad at myself. I love Alvarez, but I am, I'm the head of the fam, and I've been fighting that fight from day one. The amount of people who are trying to pin this bad season on Tommy Pham, even if Tommy Pham was bad, he has nothing to do with why this team is underachieving. And guess what? He's not bad. He's like our second best player. So fuck off. And one of my favorite baseball highlights of all time is faking out Kim the other day and throwing him out of third. One of the best sneaky plays ever. A literal perfect throw that my boy Guillaume almost blew, by the way. A literal perfect throw in the air to the bag. Just an all-time. And then he just kind of brushed him off, get the fuck out of here. Oh, Tommy Pham is the man, dunking on assholes on Twitter, lighting it up on the field, being everything and more. He's the only guy really overachieving in my mind. Everyone else is either underachieving or doing what they're expected. He is the only guy who's above and beyond. So
and he's right on that doorstep of 300, so you know that guy's sweating.
I was going to say he's at 277 right now. I'm like, all you got to do is get a couple more hits, and without a ton of at-bats, you can still make that happen. Phil, do you have anyone other than these two?
The doctors that told us not to sign Jacob deGrom or Carlos Correa because I would not let those long-term contracts on top of this shit season.
Another great – see, this is good, boys. We are picking out good things. All of the contracts that we didn't sign are as bad as things are. You know how much worse they would be if we locked into long-term contracts with deGrom, Correa, Walker, Bassett, all of these guys. It would be you're complaining about the money now. It would be even worse with some of these guys. Sometimes it's the moves you don't make. As bad as it is right now, we will be able to pivot and hopefully turn around pretty quickly, maybe make some good moves. It's not that this is going to be a long-term, oh, my God, because it's all short-term money tied up right now. And we would be in a lot different place if we had, 6 or 7 year, 10-year deals out there.
The only guys long-term signed are Lindor and Nemo, who, for the most part, have been what they want to be. So
Right.
I tweeted out on after they drafted that Colin Howe kid, the shortstop. I'm like, just convert him to a pitcher, and he's our next Jacob deGrom. And then I thought about if deGrom had resigned here this winter, and I got the worst stomachache ever. I was like, oh my God!
I want to own up to it because I remember saying, you just gotta go sign him, and if he gets hurt, he gets hurt, and it's just Uncle Stevie writes it off. But you have to keep this guy in case he puts it back together, and you got to make one more run at the title, and you're built to win now. Blah blah blah, and part of me still understands that. I do believe in that line of thinking, but knowing what we know now, it was a ballsy move to say no. And not only say no, they didn't even consider it. They were like, goodbye, go. And it was absolutely the right move. So, God, that would be so much worse right now if you had another $200 million just sitting there. Oh.
They left him on red. That's what I'm going to tell myself. He threw the number back out there, and they just never replied. Yeah. My MVP, Phil said his name, and it's just because I'm trying to think of another guy. There's basically there's not a lot. Let's be honest here. The way it's gone, worth every penny. We say it. Nikki says it in the fucking text message every time. Brandon Nimmo has had some crazy hot streaks at the plate, and has become a Gold Glove center fielder for us. He's one of the few guys that actually makes me happy watching this goddamn dog shit team, which is no small feat. I think we pretty much touched on everyone. I mean, Pete had a run, but it is weird how you just see those that low average number, and we're not average people, but it just makes it look so ugly when you're
from our generation. I think there are young kids who can do it. I just can't. If you're batting 212, it's just oh fuck.
there's a caliber of player that's in the top tier that can still hit for average and hits for power. So it's possible, and it's the fact that he doesn't have the highest OPS on the team with the most home runs.
Scary. That's scary.
Not good.
Yep.
But you know what? It also is maybe it helps out a little bit in the long run with some money. He's not going to command, a mega contract. Still be hope that they're, they don't overboard. I don't know, because you're trying to get 40, 50 home runs every time. So I do think there's a lot of value in that.
Unless you're like the Braves, where you have the same type of hitter, 1 through 9, that can all hit for home run and not strike out. You need to have a balance in your lineup. You need to have some average guys, some power guys. You can't have all guys that just do the same thing.
Right.
I need him and Alvarez sitting in the 4-5 spot for the foreseeable future.
Oh, that's the other. I feel like everyone we put behind Pete this year has just sucked. So maybe that's also being a part of it.
Yeah. I love how Phil just said that casually, and it's 100% true. Just 1 through 9 guys that can hit home runs and not strike out. It's like Michael Harris comes up as their 9-hitter. I'm like, fuck, this guy's going to murder us. Either he's going to hit it out of the park or he's going to hit a triple. There's no fucking two ways around it.
It should not be allowed when you're in the bottom third of your lineup is that good. It's like, you're cheating somehow.
Yep.
They are, because they're just robbing people.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they had the scandal of like the international money like years ago that they got hammered for. There's another scandal coming. That's the only thing I can tell myself.
I think that Michael Harris and Acuna and Albie's family members are tied up in the basement of Anthopoulos' house. Like, it's the only logical explanation. He's literally
that or it's on like some Scientology shit where they're like, they have all the skeletons and they're like, you sign this deal or we're going to release this and you're going to make less money anyway.
That is a more reasonable explanation than guys just going, oh, I'll just give him a discount. No,
And
I actually believe that.
And I hope we start instituting that as well. Like, get these guys when they're young.
I genuinely mean it when I say I don't. I don't want to be known as the team that like does not play players what they're worth. I think that's shitty. I think it's crazy that Ronald Acuna is a fucking MVP and makes like mid-range money. I think that's awful. I don't want to be known as that. I think eventually in the long run that will catch up with you and guys will eventually be like, fuck this, I want to make money. Right now it's working out perfect, but I actually don't think it's I mean, yeah, if you're penny pitching, but if you're not, if you have Steve, who fucking cares?
They could say they don't care, but then when like Juan Soto gets like $450 million or whatever next year,
They don't care.
they're gonna care.
When you have 20 home runs and 40 steals at the break and you're making like $6 million a year, it's fucking insane.
It would be like a blogger just getting a job for $100,000 off a bet, and he just like kind of like worked my ass off for years, and we're getting 6 figures. But that's hypothetically speaking. Next up, LVP. All right, let's get the list out, boys. Phil, we're gonna start with you. We're gonna go reverse now. Who's your LVP? Let it all
Max
out.
Scherzer. Well, I'm just gonna go into Max Scherzer. He's been god awful. He blew us a game versus the Braves. Blew us a game versus the Yankees. He lost the game in the first inning versus the Padres. All these people are like, oh, the Mets should trade Max Scherzer to a contender. Why would a contender want this washed-up pitcher that's like 47th in ERA amongst qualified starters? By the way, he doesn't even qualify in terms of innings, so he's not even pitching enough innings to qualify.
Wow.
So he's the only reason we're not a contender right now. Why the fuck should a contender want this guy?
Yeah, man, I've been really, really lax on Scherzer because I just kept thinking like
he sucks.
Yeah, I was like, he's eventually going to turn it around, and it honestly took up until this very last start for me to finally like write him off because I was just like, he'll do it. He'll get there and he'll be serviceable. He's not going to be great anymore, but he'll be serviceable. And it's just like, nope, he's not. And I've said it a million times. I think he's not mentally capable of being the crafty veteran. He has to be the tough guy. But you're right. I mean, I'm with you now, man. There's no sugarcoating it. And he's flat out bad. Not bad for Max. Not bad for a former Cy Young. Not bad for a Hall of Famer. He's a bad pitcher.
And then someone in my replies goes, oh, it's his first bad start in a month. Like, he gave up 3 home runs in his last start and walked in a run. What the fuck are we talking about anymore?
Even his good starts are not very inducing. So
he's 8-3, which is crazy. He was 8-2 going into last.
He's 8-3 because they score runs for him.
Yeah,
that's why he's 8-3.
That's crazy.
That was the exact reaction I wanted from Phil too, because I saw the Max Scherzer stuff, and I'm like, I feel like Phil's just gonna blow up on Scherzer.
Kyle, you guys are older than me. Like in terms of big game pitchers, like who are some of the worst in Mets history? Like Tom Glavine,
Thomas Glavine, yeah, that was.
And anyone else you can think of
that was like good, like a good pitcher name, but would always come up short in the big spot. As a Met.
Nobody, because they used to make their bones on being like a decent pitcher who could then pitch in like Al Leiter, Mike Hampton. Like there were guys where you were like, he's not better than other people in the league, but when he's on the mound, you at least know you have a shot.
Our problem has never really been the pitching. It's like Oliver Perez would go out there and be like, he gave us 6 innings. I don't know how. It's really always been like, you know, like you said, Al Leiter. I mean, ball 4, Kenny Rod. There was a couple, but it's a short history with Max and the Mets, obviously, but he's probably the most overrated pitcher we've ever had.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the way last year ended too.
This year, you know.
My LVP is also has to be Max Scherzer, and if not for any other reason, then like we're paying him $43 million to be the guy. And dude, he's putting up. I pulled up the home run numbers. He's like Edwin Diaz levels of bad from 2019 in terms of home runs. It's like statistically impossible that he's getting shellacked like this much. So it's 13 home runs all of last season in 145 in the third innings pitch. He's already let up 18 home runs in the first half in 87 and 2/3. Like, it's not even just one good start, two bad starts. It's like, he could pitch for 4 good innings and then he can completely implode and fuck your entire day.
Every time. And even if he does pitch well, a couple guys are going deep. You just pray that it's a solo shot. The fact of the matter is other lineups see Max Scherzer on the schedule and they lick their chops now. And that's,
if he was like the old man 3-4 spot at the back of the rotation and this is his last contract, yes. Putting up the biggest AAV in baseball history and doing this, sucks. That's the difference.
Yep. Also, I just want to say SNY put out their midseason grades and they start off with Max Scherzer C-. I want to tell John Harper to go fuck off with that grade.
It's a solid F. It's a full-blown F.
We need to get Phil yelling outside the SNY studios like the live one. Be like, fuck you, Harper. Fuck you. And we just have Phil go straight heel. Kev, are you gonna jump on the Max bandwagon here? Or do you have anyone else?
Yes, Max, but to spread the love here because there's a lot of LVPs, it's got to be Marte for me. Yeah. Offensively, he is by far the biggest disappointment because he was so steady and it was such good value. It was a good contract. He was one of the most athletic guys on the team. He was one of the most clutch guys on the team. He had the walk-off against the Yankees. Anytime he needed a big hit, he was there. Felt like he was always in the middle of those comeback runs. He could steal bases. He had an arm, all that shit. And then there is just nothing this year. Nothing. I mean, that little Tapper double play the other day was just like
and you saw it coming completely. You're like, it's either going to strike out or double play.
Perfect embodiment. But just how meek it was, like, being a little Tapper back to the mound, that it has been, like Nimmo has done his job. Lindor's done his job. Pete's done his job for the most part. Alvarez is shining. McNeil, McNeil will probably be
McNeil's been awful. Let's just call it that. He's been awful.
That's my LVP. I'll just lump him in there.
I was going to say, the two guys you could say in the offense, like the difference, we always said we're going to have some regression. We're going to have some injuries. When you had Marte and McNeil last year, and now you don't have Marte and McNeil, you're fucked. And Marte is shining.
There were two guys who were hitting like into the 300s the entire season last year.
Dude, when Jeff hit that double the other day, and they said it was like his like third extra base hit of the year or something insane. He has like
OPS since like May 4th is like 550 or something. He's
75
awful.
hits and he has like 6 extra base hits or something insane. It's like, again, statistically impossible.
Kev, the stat heads out there, they have to love these two guys, Marte and McNeil, because they're batting 256 and 253, which is very good. Very important, your batting average. You got to be able to hit the ball in baseball, all you advanced analytics. Lindor, who I'm still getting shit for, 239, but, second in the league in shortstop WAR and is fucking hitting in runs. Like, that's the only thing that matters. You want to talk about getting hits? No, hitting in runs. And it's, again, a little bit of power with your hits. And that, like, I love McNeil. It's just I expect he's going to bounce out of it, but it's like
he is. I don't know.
It's a single or nothing at this point.
Like, which one is the aberration? Is the? It's just it was. I thought that he tried to hit for power and it didn't work, and he went back to his old ways, won a batting title, became like, okay, this is who I am, and then he seems to just kind of flounder again. And it's like, well, maybe last year was the aberration, and this year's the norm. But Marte is like pretty established, and you knew what you were getting, and he delivered, and you thought, okay, we have him for a few more years. He's locked in, and he's been
Marte, he also came off surgery, like double groin surgery. There could be something there. McNeil, there's really no like.
Yeah, but for Marte, it's like the mental fatigue too, where like he walks up to the plate on like he strikes out in 3 pitches. It's like he's walking up there deciding I'm going to swing at every single ball I see.
Yes,
you're watching the pitcher struggle to back-to-back hitters. He walks them both with the bases fucking loaded, and then you walk up there and swing at the first pitch. And I said, like, if you're gonna swing at the first pitch, fucking fine. You either swing and miss, you pull it 50 fucking feet foul, or you crush a sack fly because that's what we need in that moment. Like, the one thing you couldn't do was what he fucking did. Drives me crazy.
That is the comment I love hearing, by the way.
Because you have to have that idea going up to the plate.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's fair. And again, like it drives me a little crazy just from when I used to go on Twitter before Elon made this very easy to kind of just like wean myself off of it. It's like people are screaming about Vogelback, who has been bad, or like Escobar. And it's like, yeah, well, those guys, we kind of like are like, there's a chance Vogelback may suck this year. There's a chance Escobar is going to, regress even more. But it's like Marte and McNeil, Max were guys we needed to fucking show up. And
when we throw all that out there, like I genuinely do believe there's a chance we can make a run, but when you don't have McNeil, Marte, Mac, like it's the team's not going to be good.
Yeah, when your best players aren't playing like your best players, you're not going to win games.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Like if Acuna was doing what Acuna does, but then Sean Murphy just stopped hitting and Matt Olson stopped doing what he's doing, and Austin, it's like, yeah, of course the Braves are struggling right now because all their good guys are struggling, and like, yeah, so
it's almost a miracle that we're
yeah. That first month, thank God we got off to that like quick start because we at least have like we're not completely dead at this point. So LVP, there's no shortage there for real. I guess.
Can we just do an honorable mention for LVP?
Please.
I think you know what I want to say. The WBC.
Yeah, all right. I mean, anybody who doesn't think that the WBC is to blame for this year is a fucking moron with their head in the sand. It's any other year that we don't have the WBC, we probably fucking win the World Series. I will forever blame the WBC for all of our problems here. It's just a fact. It's a fact.
I completely understand. It's a completely different thing between a relief pitcher doing it and then a starting pitcher doing it in the season. But I just love this quote from my guy, Dusty Baker. We can't risk Frambar on 2 or 3 days rest for an exhibition game. Talk about why he's not pitching in the All-Star game. God forbid baseball Twitter gets a hold of that one, right? Don't you dare call my All-Star game an exhibition game. This stuff matters. Do you know how many people in Japan will be watching if Shohei Ohtani was...
In the playoffs, boys. When teams are playing in the playoffs, I'm going to say, you know what? This game isn't as important as the ones that were played in March.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait for World Series dramatics and to tell everybody, no. I was told the most important baseball ever was played in March.
And to be fair, we said this before the WBC happened. We're like, fuck this tournament. Nothing but bad things come out of this tournament.
Always. I gotta jet and do the rundown. I'll let you guys just continue the misery that is the first half.
Yeah. Give me your highlight and low light real quick of the season. If you could even name a highlight.
My highlight was that 2-1 win the other night. Actually, the whole Arizona series, because that I love to reference that West Coast swing in 06, specifically the games against the Diamondbacks where they scored like 15 runs a game and they never looked back. And it always had this feeling of like we always suck on the West Coast, but we went out there and we handled our business and we fucking dominated in Arizona. We put up big games. We had close wins. We had theatrics. We had clutchness, and we had Gary giving us an old boy. We had it all, and that's the only thing that really made me feel like maybe there is some magic here because I've seen it before, and a sweep against a good team, and we're starting to put it together. It kind of saved whatever season we may still have. So that's my highlight. My low light is probably the combination of the Braves and Astros series because they were right there for the taking. Specifically the Astros game. I think that was the one where the Astros scored in like 8 innings, right, Phil?
Just say they did. Just say they did.
Yeah. I think it was like we kept scoring and we could have beat them 2 out of 3. I think we could have even swept them, and we just kept handing the lead back. That was the embodiment of our pitching problems. That was the embodiment of our inability to finish. And it would have been 2 series against the 2 best teams in baseball that I would have been like, look. And I think they would have felt that way, and I think they would have ran with it. And instead we handed it right back. So that's kind of the microcosm for this season. But I still think that there's a chance. There's so many teams to hop, but I don't think about it that way. Because in the end, there's always like only like 3 or 4 teams. There's not like 7 or 8 that have like 92 wins. So you just got to get to that number. And I don't worry about the rest of the team. Some of them will fall off. Some of them will maintain. Just get to the number, and I think you'll be okay. The problem is I don't think Scherzer is enough to get to that number. I used to keep thinking we'll get Max and we'll get Verlander on the same page. I just don't know anymore. But the offense is enough to do it because they score 7 runs a night. So
yeah, you have to win games. That's all.
All right. Good luck. Don't let Portnoy fucking take you down, my friend. I'm sure he'll be trying to get you on something here. Probably with these goddamn Mets. Gotta believe. Kyle, highlight, low light.
highlight, he just mentioned it, the 2-1-1 win. You got Senga going 8 innings. You got a 3-2 last strike down to your final pitch, hitting the home run, tying it, and then coming out, no doubt, in the 10th, and immediately taking the lead and going up and getting those survival runs that we needed. It was the 2022 Mets. Like, everything about that made me think that was the team that I was expecting to see all season long. It shows that they're able to come up clutch. It shows that they can put together a complete game in all facets, but it's a flash in the pan compared to what we've done all season long. So the fact that I could just pick out one game, whereas last year, if you'd asked me this question, I'd have a million options. That's the one. And the low light, I would say the low light was the entire start of the season, which should have just been like a precursor to what was coming, where Verlander didn't start on the roster. Scherzer had a twinge of his side. We had the groin with Marte. We had a million things stacking up, and they were still winning, but it was enough where you should have been thinking to yourself, this doesn't feel like it's going to be right this year. And it was like when you're driving your car and you're getting a million warning signs on your engine to check everything, and you're just like, I'll push it for another 10 miles. And we didn't address what we needed to address. And our bullpen got tired and the wheels fell off. I don't even know. There's not a one to choose from. It's the opposite of last year.
Yep.
The million lowlights.
Phil, what do you got?
The highlight, I'd have to say, I'm going to go a different game. I'm going to say the last game in Arizona when it was like 9-0, a game where, you score first early on a home run, you get a shutdown inning in the bottom half, you keep tacking on runs. It's a nice, easy win that you don't have to think about anything. And we've had that maybe like 4 or 5 times this year, give or take, probably less. And my low light, I think it's the obvious one, the Orlando Arcia, Ozzie Albies home runs, that last Atlanta game. That honestly just it's Kevin's retroactive console, if you really want to say it.
I'm surprised neither of these got drafted. I'm happy. I don't know why I'm talking about drafting. The Rays game was May 17th when all the kids came through and we were like, holy fuck, these guys might all hit. And it was against the Rays, obviously, which then led to the next game and then the sweep of the Guardians where thought we were back. That was actually my birthday weekend too. I didn't remember that. So things were a little bit different back then. Let's see. What were we at the time? We were right around 500. Oh, man, that was so much fun. We were 25 and 23 after that Guardian series. Then we went to Chicago and lost 2 or 3 against the Cubs. And I can't believe this one didn't get picked. 7-6 against the Phillies. That was –
I mean, it sucked, but, like, the Brave series hurt so much more than that. Like, I'm not going to, like, lie.
Yeah, it's just I didn't want to just choose that one that anyone else has chosen. Like that one, there's like a few console moments of the season, the Braves game. Like I think we pretty much mentioned them all. And this one I think is just like, especially because the Phillies were like our get healthy team. I'm like, all right, we'll take 2 or 3 against them unless something completely goes wrong at the worst possible fucking time, which of course it did. And that was with the bullpen, which everyone forgets. Cookie Carrasco, 4 innings, 2 earned, but that's the problem. 2 earned, but you only go 4 innings, and you're just allowing more chances for the bullpen to get their dicks kicked in, which happened, unfortunately. And then I'm going to wrap it up with this one. This is an old Mets blog classic right here. Confidence rating. What is your confidence rating right now heading into the second half? I guess I just, how do you feel about the team? Give me 1 through 10. How do you feel about the team right now? I feel like we did this probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and we were actually – idiotically somewhat high. Kyle, where are you at right now?
The math is not in our favor, so I'm gonna say 4.5 out of 10 because there's 72 games left. We're 7 games out of the last wild card spot, and they have to go on pretty historic, unbelievable win percentage to get anywhere near like that win number that you assume that we need. 4.5. I think 5 is going to be too much because that's a coin toss, but there's still enough of a glimmer of hope that they could just play outside of their minds and we go and get some help at the trade deadline. I'll give 4.5.
Well, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, I'm looking at our Fangraphs odds. We have a 14.8% chance at the playoffs, so 1.4 out of 10 probably is 1.48 out of 10.
I like that. We're going straight analytical style. Plug it into the computer.
I'll give you the exact probability. Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine. So I'll split the difference or a little bit more. So I'll do a little positive because I'm a fucking moron. and I'll by positive, I mean I'll be a 3.8 right now, just because it's like, all right, who do I know is going to help us? Who do I know is going to hurt us? And then it's basically all those guys in the middle. Which way are they going to go? Right? It's like I know Pete's going to come through. I know Lindor is going to do his thing. I can't. I want to say Max is in the middle, even though he's probably in the hurt side. I know. I saw Quintana got hit the other day, but it sounds like he's battling flu-like symptoms. So it's just I'm going to have to spin zone that. 3.8 out of 10, which I mean, at this point, it was probably like, what were we last year? Like a 9 out of 10?
We were like, like a 10.
Yeah,
we were like 12 out of 10.
I almost want to go back and listen to like our All-Star break podcast. We were probably just like masturbating during, like, this is the best fucking team ever. I love this. No one can catch us. We're so far ahead at first.
I mean, at this point last year, we were talking about, all right, who are we buying to the deadline? We got Vogel back now. What's next? And
yeah. Shit gets real fast here in baseball. This is a good lesson. If there's nothing else, it's a good lesson to like realize no matter how good you look one year, the next year can look completely different unless you're basically the Braves, who will probably be like this every year for the rest of our lives. So I guess that's it. You guys have anything else?
Enjoy the break.
Yeah, that's great point. See you guys, anyone who's coming to the game. Again, whether you have Barstool ballpark tickets or not, we will be at the parking lot at 4:15, hanging out, just having some beers, come over, say hi, we'll have some giveaways and stuff like that, say what's up, and then we'll be going in the game to, party, hopefully get back on track against the goddamn Dodgers. Like, welcome back to the fucking, to the second half. So yeah, most importantly, enjoy the break. Don't let this team hurt you. You gotta believe.
Gotta believe.